What's going on, guys? Kevin Cage here with another crypto update. We're going to run through some alts and some recent news looking at leaders and potential laggards. So one thing we know about the crypto asset class is this market moves in cycles. This is all cyclical. Whether you believe the Bitcoin halving, the election year, top to top, the length of the RSI, or anything in between, these markets move in cycles, and volume historically rotates into this asset class every few years. So whenever I share cycle analysis, I'm not a student of the Bitcoin halving cycle. I'm very aware of it in tandem with the election year and a variety of other things. But bottom line is, we have parabolic bull runs, multi-year bear markets. Parabolic bull runs, multi-year bear markets. And what most investors try to do each multi-year bear market is accumulate and DCA as low as possible for as long as possible and then wait for the bull run. And when I say bull run regarding the cycle, I mean creating a new all-time price. Even though Bitcoin from this year has had a great bull run and has definitely been in an uptrend, I'm referring to the bull run where Bitcoin takes out its previous cycle top into a new high. And I've shared the two main scenarios I'm looking at. Either Bitcoin is going to be chopping a little bit and heading into an all-time price, or we're going to be following a 2019 rhyme and crash back into reaccumulation. And I shared last week why I personally believe that Bitcoin is heading to an all-time price with a variety of tweets, even explanations that I've been looking at since September. Now, comparing today's cycle to the previous cycles, whether we're looking at 2019 or November 2020 or even 2016, early 2017, there are a lot of similarities. So we're going to quickly run through several alt charts, look at different levels and how high they've retraced thus far, some of which have created all-time highs or approaching their all-time high. Others have retraced close to the 236 or above, and we're starting to see others wake up from their lows, while there are still others yet to even break out of accumulation. And friendly reminder, just like the disclaimer says in every single video, this is not financial advice. I'm sharing my journey and opinion. Your decision is your own. To me, investing isn't really a science, it's more of an art, and everybody has their own style, and you have to find what works out for you. And newcomers that first come to a market, they've never traded, they've never invested, they're always trying to understand it, and they think there's some hack to understand markets, but people that have been trading for 20 years still don't understand it. Yes, you can understand a trend and maybe you have a great hot streak for an entire year if we're in that trend, but eventually you're going to be lost because markets always do what we least expect. Because markets are a social construct, they can never be understood, they are ever changing, so you can always get caught off guard. Nobody is going to have a 100% winning streak. So some years the market can give, and other years the market can take it all back. So when we dive into these charts, friendly reminder that this is on the weekly time frame. This is not the 4-hour chart trying to predict the next move. I'm just looking at key levels that we have to break through. I've always held multiple assets because I believe in diversification. I know the quotes, diversification is for people that don't know what they're doing. You can place hard bets in a single asset and I wish you well. But that's not my style, and during a bull run, it can work out exceptionally well. But if you make a lot of money in the crypto asset class, the name of the game is wealth preservation. Just like a lot of people, I didn't come into the crypto asset class until 2017. My econ professor told me about Bitcoin back in 2013, and I completely dismissed it. I threw money in crypto in 2017. Some alts went up 5x or 10x, and it gives you such a false sense of security when you're just getting into the crypto asset class and you don't understand cycles. And each of these cycles had a lot of similarities. Despite the previous cycle having more of a retracement to the 618, this cycle looks very similar. The only difference is this top had bearish divergence on the weekly time frame, and as well as the monthly time frame. So we can see the high, higher high, we have the high and the lower high. And of course, I believe in these cycles. Looking at the higher time frames like the monthly and the weekly, I think it shows a clear story in an uptrend. So because of this, and after experiencing more than one bull run, I know that patience is key. And even during 2019, 2020, all alts retraced in different orders. Some actually created new all-time highs before Bitcoin even did, and then others didn't actually explode until Bitcoin was already pushing into a new high about 3 to 5 weeks later. So I strongly believe in the growth of this asset class becoming a major asset class in the trillions of dollars, and I know that patience is going to be a major factor. If you're not patient, I don't recommend even looking at the crypto asset class. Seasoned investors and VCs can have a 5 to even 10-year time horizon trying to get that billion-dollar company or even a decacorn with a $10 billion valuation. And the crypto asset class is a blessing and a curse because these opportunities are around us. And same thing for alts like QNT. Even though they deleted the charting history on TradingView, we know that it was sub $1 back in 2018. We were doing videos when it was between $3 to $5 in 2018, and this thing absolutely exploded. And even from around $3 or $3.50 up to an all-time high, it did well over a 100x return. And sentiment on Twitter, when it's pumping and in this huge uptrend during the bull run, even before the bull run, as Bitcoin is pushing into an all-time high. When Bitcoin broke into a new all-time high in December 2020 from its swing low, QNT still did another 40x return. And if you're on Twitter, you can pay attention to retail sentiment. So we know QNT, just like any other asset, crashed 90% during the bear market right there. And in 2022, it actually performed very well, doing over 400% or over a 5x. During this time, a variety of assets were crashing or really were just trending sideways in accumulation, so QNT did great. But because we've been ranging sideways since that date for 400 to 500 days, there are people on Twitter calling QNT a scam and they don't understand price action. And sure, luck can play a part with it in terms of entries, where we are in the cycle, where is the trend, but at the end of the day, it takes tons of discipline, research, and patience, along with conviction. And that's why not everybody wins. It's not easy, but it's possible. Especially while keeping exposure into assets when Bitcoin sees a new all-time high. We talked about the performance of alts last cycle alone after Bitcoin pushed into a new high. So let's dive into some alts that have created an all-time high price or approaching all-time highs. And this is one of the reasons that I'm excited to see if we have a variety of other assets follow suit to get that strong retracement. And since investing, I've never just held all of my holdings in a single alt. I might have some alts that I do have a lot of holdings in compared to other assets, but I always diversify. So first up, we have Fetch AI and Injective both creating new all-time high prices. So Fetch has officially wicked into a new all-time high price recently. And looking at both of these from their previous cycle top, they've both at least wicked above the 100% retracement, or Injective even going all the way up to the 1618. And comparing a variety of alts today, they are below retracements, maybe the 236 or close to the 382 like API 3. We still have a variety down here below the 11.8 and the 0.059. But one thing I want you to pay attention to when we're looking at other assets that are at lower levels is right here, this golden cross of the weekly 50 moving average and the 100 week. We have the golden cross here, beautiful continuation. We had the golden cross here for Injective, also a beautiful continuation. Some take off before, some take off during, and some take off after, but it typically has led to a much higher rise. Now, it's easy to be super bullish for assets that are already low, but it's harder to actually set targets when assets have already taken off and they're much higher, because you're betting where are they going to be going if you do have an exit strategy where you're staggering your sells at multiple points to de-risk. So some investors would like to recoup their initial investment at a certain level. If you do it too low, you're limiting your returns, and if you do it too high, you risk not ever even recouping your initial investment. So an exit strategy is a complete game, and you want to do your best to find realistic targets, so at the very least you're recouping your initial investment, even better, hitting your other targets, you can make much more profit. And setting targets is different for each person. Every person has a different average entry price. If you actually entered here, you might want to be waiting a lot longer. If somebody entered all the way down here, they could have recouped their initial investment a long time ago. And if you had a target 2 or 3 to stagger out the rest of your investment, and maybe target 4 is just holding for the long term. It's tricky because you could look at the fib extensions above at the 1618, the 2618, the 4.236, but we don't know if these will hit or if all of them will hit in the future. Because these retracements, even extensions, can be rejection levels. We can see the 618 right there, rejection, but we continued higher. And the same thing for Injective at the 1618. Some people might be placing much higher bets for a full 4.236 Fibonacci extension, but other people might see that type of ROI and say, I'm better off going into something that has that upside to do more than 177%. And it's different for each person, and considerations include much more than just the technicals. You could look at the fundamentals, the tokenomics. We know INJ is deflationary, market cap considerations compared to previous levels last cycle, categories of different assets, how other dexes performed, or if it was Altcoin looking at storage solutions and how high they got last cycle, all types of considerations, and everybody has to decide what's best for them. How do you create a personal plan with exit strategies to be profitable? If you're profitable, that's a huge win. In 2017, when Bitcoin is pushing into new highs, we had a variety of assets reach golden extensions into new highs. In 2021, we had some just draw retracements, but we still had some reach golden extensions above. There are tons of considerations. Everybody has a different time horizon of how long they'd be willing to wait, and also in terms of risk appetite. And of course, targets could be vastly different if Bitcoin went to 80K rather than 150K. So I'm excited to see how Bitcoin draws this year. As we're looking at the RSI, we had $4 billion in net inflow after the spot ETF. This is not a snap of the finger where everybody just buys Bitcoin. These advisors are getting used to Bitcoin and they're gradually introducing it to more and more clients. And that's also the hope for other alt ETFs for Ethereum, Solana, XRP, and others. Next up, two other alts approaching their all-time high price is Stacks or STX and then Render. We can see the same exact thing. We have the golden cross continuation during and beforehand, and we have right here golden cross big continuation. Now when we look at other assets at lower levels below the 50-week moving average or even above it in this level, this is the potential with that golden cross. Next, we also have Chainlink, golden cross. We actually continued higher before that, and we also have Ocean as well, forming that similar golden cross, backtesting the 50-week and continuing higher. When we look at API3's performance, it's done very well, so let's compare. So Chainlink from its cycle low to up here is over 300%, whereas API3 being a low cap and have been staking this since 2021, we can see this is up about 500% wick to wick. Chainlink already had this golden cross. Notice we had the continuation before. For API3, we've yet to have the golden cross, but we got the continuation beforehand. So we shared some assets that are already up here or even higher. We're starting to see others retrace up to the 236, even above, like API3, taking out their March and April 2022 high. This is why I'm pointing out leaders and laggards, because some retraced a year in advance or even 6 months ahead of others. And comparing retracements, so we have Chainlink from high to the cycle low, and the same thing for API3 from its all-time high to the cycle low. We can see that API3 has retraced more in terms of percentage return and also in terms of the fib retracement up to the 382. The 382 up here for Chainlink is still near this open fair value gap yet to be closed. We've had Fetch here, we've had Injective up to the 1618, STX, Ocean, Render, a lot of the others are still around this level. Comparing AVAX to Solana, so we can see high to low, AVAX has surpassed the 236, almost closing perfectly this weekly fair value gap. Solana already had this golden cross, whereas AVAX is still potentially forming this, and we had a huge run up at the end of 2023. Same thing, we have Rose on the right and HBAR on the left. So HBAR officially broke out of accumulation, pushing past 10 cents, entering this first fair value gap, still below the 236 where other assets have already reached. Looking at Rose from high to low, and these are some buy-side imbalances and sell-side imbalances. It is yet to reach the 236 when using wick to wick. We could look at candle bodies as well, but I'm just going across the board looking at the wicks. If we use candle bodies though, we can see candle body as the high, candle body as the low, and we wicked perfectly to this 236. And both have drawn a nice impulse, but we've yet to form this golden cross. Along with some others showing some signs of life. So we had Uniswap, a DEX, showing support at these levels. 1, 2, 3, a triple bottom, getting above the 50-week moving average, wick as a backtest, and then taking off. Notice reaching and wicking above the March and April 2022 high. We have Filecoin on the left showing signs of life, getting above the 50-week moving average, holding the 21-week EMA that we talk about, and then popping. Yet to break out of accumulation completely though. We also have Harmony One finally reaching the 100-week moving average. I know I talked about this a few months ago, and then we also have Chili's right here finally reaching the 100-week MA. And just comparing from their highs to their cycle lows, where they are per retracements compared to other assets. We've had other alts, although the tokenomics may be different, they retraced to much higher levels. There are still many below the 11.8 and the 0.059. We still have a variety of alts at their lows in accumulation yet to retrace, even similar to any other assets that already drew this impulse. So this is where it gets a little speculative. We have Energy Web, we have in a liquidity wick close to $50, so we could draw a quick fib retracement from that high to the cycle low just to see where we're at. So here we're still below the lowest fib retracement here. These are basically half of the 236, so all of these are Fibonacci numbers. I leverage a fib retracement going from swing high to low when we have alts in accumulation. When it's a bull run, we're reaching tops, I will go from low to high, looking for the pullback or retracement. Now we can also look at candle bodies for Energy Web. It might be a little bit more conservative, just looking at the actual candle bodies of the weekly time frame and seeing where we're at. We're still below the 11.8 fib retracement. And same thing for alts like Curve. So we can go wick to wick and look where we're at. We're still below the 11.8 fib retracement. We can even do candle bodies just so we're going like for like. Right there, we're still below the 11.8. So bottom line, we're seeing alts retrace. Some are reaching the 50-week moving average, some encounter resistance, we can see right there, and we're simply waiting to see if these others follow suit this year. So I wanted to do a quick high-level explanation of different leaders and laggards. We could look at different assets that already retraced, and you can find 6 months or even a year later, others eventually get that impulse, especially if Bitcoin actually heads to an all-time high price. I have never seen alts at their lows when Bitcoin pushes into highs not retrace significantly. We see a similar thing each cycle. Sometimes we saw alts create new all-time high prices in March of 2021, May, or even April, and others actually didn't explode until the very end of 2021. So bottom line, a lot of these alts get their runs in different orders. Of course, there is a point each cycle when Bitcoin dominance reaches that top and crashes. That's when we see almost every single alt perform well. So hopefully that makes sense. We went through a variety of alts just to show the accumulation with the 50-week and the 100-week moving average. There's a bunch of other things I'm looking at, but just wanted to do that high level. And there are other charts that have similarities, but they're not as clear, and they're just in clear accumulation waiting for a breakout. This video is getting kind of long, so we'll run through news in the next video. I just wanted to highlight this now that we've had more price action compared to the last 6 months. And this is never financial advice, this is my personal opinion, and I think we have two scenarios. We're either going to see Bitcoin head to an all-time price, where we see a variety of alts do multiple X returns like we see each cycle, even if it takes a while, or even if Bitcoin trends sideways for a bit. And the other scenario is we rhyme with something similar to 2019 crashing back down into reaccumulation, never creating a new high. And I shared in detail my thoughts behind that and why it doesn't look like 2019 to me at the moment because of the close above the 0.5 fib, the monthly RSI above 66.21, and we'll get that close for certain this month. So as long as Bitcoin doesn't crash right down to 40K by end of month, I think we get that. And then comparing fear and greed, or the fear and greed index, to 2019, we never even got to those levels, to the 2019 high before the huge crash, or to all-time highs. So right now, right or wrong, because of all the things I've shared over the past year, I believe Bitcoin is making its move towards an all-time high price. And last but not least, we have iTrustCapital linked in the top of the YouTube video description. I have a crypto Roth IRA, so all gains are 100% tax-free, paying 0% in capital gains. So I first created my account in January of 2020, and I'm absolutely hoping for a bull run sooner than later for this retirement account. And I don't put all my eggs in a single basket, but I love having a Roth IRA in crypto where I can trade 24/7, 365. I can go into the US dollar if I'm ever bearish, I can rebalance accordingly and do my best during each bull run. And friendly reminder, compared to other platforms, per the terms and services, they leverage a qualified custodian if they ever went out of business, which I personally don't believe, especially if we have a big bull run over the coming years. You still get your funds by law, and your assets are held in cold storage. They're not lending your assets out. They're not doing anything sketchy like these other platforms that got closed down do. So if you're interested, feel free to check them out. This is linked in the video description. If you use the link in the video description or the pinned comment and you fund your account, you also get $100 in USD. Thanks for watching, guys, and huge thank you to all that hit the like button and comment down below, and I will catch you in the next one. If you enjoyed this video, I'd greatly appreciate if you could hit the like button, let me know your thoughts down below, and my link tree is linked in the top of this YouTube video description, with all links, crypto resources, and discounts. I'll catch you in the next one.